I came home from work on a Tuesday evening, tired but looking forward to dinner with my family. I opened the bedroom door and froze. The closet was half empty. Grace's clothes were gone, her favorite handbag missing. I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. No note. No text. No explanation. My 4-year-old son Tommy ran up to me asking where Mommy was, and I had no answer. My wife had just vanished without a trace, and what I discovered next shattered everything I thought I knew about our marriage. Before I tell you what really happened, I need to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments below. And if you want to hear how this nightmare unfolded, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next will leave you speechless. Now let me take you back to where it all started. 8 years ago, I met Grace at a coffee shop in Portland. She accidentally spilled coffee on my laptop. Her face turned bright red as she apologized over and over. I laughed it off and asked if she wanted to grab another coffee to make up for it. We talked for 3 hours straight. Grace had this warm smile and these clear blue eyes that just pulled me in. She told me about her dream of becoming a teacher, about how she loved working with kids. I was captivated by how genuine she was. We dated for 3 years before getting married. Our wedding was small and cozy, held in the countryside with close friends and family. Tommy was born a year later and life felt complete. I worked as a software engineer while Grace taught at a preschool. Our mornings were filled with breakfast together, dropping Tommy off at daycare. Evenings meant cooking together, watching movies on the couch. Weekends were spent at the park watching Tommy play on the swings. We talked about buying a bigger house, maybe having a second child. I remember those nights when Grace would read bedtime stories to Tommy. Her voice was so soft and sweet. Tommy would giggle and hug her tight. Grace always kissed my forehead before we fell asleep and whispered, "I love you more than yesterday." I felt like the luckiest man alive. Nothing fancy or extravagant, but it was enough. It was everything I needed. But about 2 months ago, things started to change. Grace seemed off. She was getting phone calls from her mother, Barbara, almost daily. Each call lasted over an hour. After hanging up, Grace would become quiet and distant. Her eyes carried this deep sadness I could not understand. I would ask, "Honey, is everything okay?" She would force a smile and say, "It is fine, just some family stuff." But her voice did not sound convincing at all. At night, Grace could not sleep. I would wake up and find her sitting by the window, staring outside. The moonlight would hit her worried face, and I could see the tension in her shoulders. I wanted to help, but she kept saying everything was fine. I did not want to push too hard. Maybe that was my first mistake. The week before she disappeared, Barbara came to visit from Seattle. She was 58 years old with this cold, sharp expression. During the 3 days she stayed with us, Barbara barely spoke to me. She only talked to Grace, whispering in private behind closed doors. I tried to be friendly. I cooked dinner, asked how she was doing. Barbara would respond coldly, "I am fine, thank you," and that was it. No warmth, no effort to connect. One evening I overheard Barbara saying, "You deserve better than this." Grace replied, "Mom, please." I felt uncomfortable but did not want to cause conflict. After Barbara left, Grace became even more withdrawn. The night before she vanished, Grace hugged me and cried. I asked, "What is wrong?" She just shook her head and said, "I just love you so much. I should have known something terrible was coming." That Tuesday morning started like any other day. I went to work as usual. Grace kissed me goodbye and said, "Have a good day." I had no idea that would be the last normal moment for a long time. I worked through the day, came home at 5 in the evening. The house was eerily quiet. Tommy was next door with our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, a kind 65-year-old woman who sometimes helped us out. Mrs. Patterson told me Grace dropped Tommy off at noon. She said she had an emergency. My stomach dropped. I called Grace immediately, straight to voicemail. I ran upstairs to our bedroom and opened the closet. More than half of Grace's clothes were gone. Her handbag, her shoes, her makeup, everything. I searched the entire house for a note, any kind of explanation. Nothing. I called her best friend, Lisa. "I have not heard from her," Lisa said, sounding worried. I called the preschool where Grace worked. They told me she had requested 2 weeks off. I checked our bank account. Grace had withdrawn $5,000. I sank to the floor, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Tommy came running in, asking Daddy, "When is Mommy coming home?" I hugged him tight, unable to speak. Tears streamed down my face. What was happening to my family that night? After putting Tommy to bed, I sat alone in the dark. I kept thinking about Barbara and the way she looked at me. Did she know something? Did she have anything to do with this? I picked up my phone, hands shaking, and dialed Barbara's number. Each ring felt like an eternity. She answered with a cold voice. "Hello, Barbara, it is Kelvin. Do you know where Grace is?" There was a long pause on the other end. "Why would I know where my daughter is?" Her tone was too calm, no concern at all. "She left this morning without telling me." "All her things are gone," I said. "Maybe she needed some space," Barbara replied flatly. Space. She would not leave Tommy without explanation. Barbara shot back. "People do unexpected things when they are unhappy." My blood started to boil. "What are you implying?" I asked. "I am not implying anything. If Grace left, she must have her reasons. If you hear from her, please tell her to call me." "Tommy misses his mother," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I will. Goodbye, Kelvin." She hung up. I stared at my phone, convinced Barbara was hiding something. Her voice was too cold, too detached. A worried mother would sound different. At midnight, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Check your wife's old phone. You will find answers." I sat up straight. Who sent this? How did they know? Then I remembered. Grace had an old iPhone. She switched to a new one last year, but kept the old device in a drawer. I searched frantically and found it. There was still some battery left. I opened the phone and went to her messages. Dozens of texts from Mom, which was Barbara. I started reading, and my heart sank with every line. "From 3 months ago, you need to come home, Grace. I need you here." Grace replied, "Mom, I have a family here. I cannot just leave." Barbara wrote back, "What kind of family, Kelvin, does not appreciate you?" "I can see it," Grace responded. "That is not true." "He loves me," Barbara countered. "You are wasting your life with him. You could have done so much better." I kept reading, my hands trembling. Barbara wrote, "Remember when you wanted to get your master's degree, Kelvin did not support you." This was not true. I always encouraged Grace, but she decided to stay home with Tommy. It was her choice. But Barbara was twisting everything. A more recent message from a month ago stopped me cold. "I am sick, Grace. The doctor said I do not have much time." Grace replied in panic, "What, Mom? What is wrong?" Barbara wrote, "Cancer. Stage 4. I need you here with me." Grace responded, "Oh my God. I will come visit soon." Barbara pushed harder. "Soon is not enough. I need you to stay. I cannot be alone during treatment." Grace hesitated. "But Mom, I have Tommy. I have Kelvin." Barbara's reply made me sick. "So your career, your family, they all matter more than your dying mother." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Barbara was using guilt to manipulate Grace. I kept reading through emails about a good job waiting in Seattle. Barbara had orchestrated everything to pull Grace away. The next morning I called Amy, Grace's younger sister. Amy was 28 and lived in Boston. The two sisters used to be close, but had drifted apart recently. Amy answered, "Kelvin, is everything okay? Grace is gone. She left yesterday. I think your mom has something to do with it." Amy sighed deeply. "I was afraid of this." "What do you mean? Can we talk? This is going to take a while." We scheduled a video call. When Amy appeared on screen, she looked exhausted. "Kelvin, I need to tell you about our mother." Amy explained that Barbara had always been controlling. Since childhood, Barbara decided everything. What clothes they wore, who they could be friends with, what activities they could do. When Grace wanted to attend college far from home, Barbara cried and said she needed her daughter close. Grace ended up choosing a local school to keep her mother happy. Amy continued, "Grace always felt guilty, like she owed Mom everything." I asked, "But Barbara seems so cold. She does not act like she loves her daughters." Amy replied, "That is how she controls us. She shows love, then takes it away. She makes us feel like we have to earn it." Then Amy revealed something shocking. This was not the first time Barbara claimed to be sick. 5 years ago, when Amy moved to Boston, Barbara announced she had heart disease. Amy came home and took care of her for 6 months. But later, she discovered there was no illness. Barbara just wanted Amy nearby. So the cancer might be fake too, I asked. I would not be surprised, Amy said. Last time I asked for medical records, she refused to show me. Amy's voice grew firm. You need to go to Seattle. Grace will not leave on her own. She is trapped by guilt. I made my decision right then. I would go to Seattle and bring my wife home. Friday morning, I asked Mrs. Patterson to watch Tommy. I knelt down and told my son, Daddy will bring Mommy home, I promise. Tommy hugged me tight. I miss Mommy. I kissed his forehead, my heart aching. I got in my car and started driving. Portland to Seattle was about 3 hours.